Okay, namaskar and a very good evening to all of you. A warm welcome to the In-Service Skill Enhancement Program brought to you by VidyaDaan Foundation. I am Dr. Indra and I'm here to take you through the session. To begin with, for those who aren't aware about VidyaDaan, I would like to introduce VidyaDaan Foundation. It is a transformative non-profit organization dedicated towards empowerment and uplifting of underprivileged children, women, and youth through education. With an unwavering commitment towards fostering a bright future, VidyaDaan Foundation is at the forefront of providing a high-quality education in India, thereby enabling the disadvantaged and the underserved children to unlock their potential. In order to enhance the quality of education, it also conducts teacher training programs. In the past, under the In-Service Skills Enhancement Program, we take absolute pride in saying that we have successfully trained over 19 to 20,000 teachers. And it is indeed a matter of great pride for all of us. And I very proudly say that. We all know that the National Education Policy 2020, that is NEP 2020, emphasizes on the continuous professional development program for educators. As per the NEP 2020, each teacher is expected to undergo at least 50 hours of CPD every year. Now, we have resumed the in-service skill enhancement program after a brief break in between. We also call it as ISEP or in-service skills enhancement program. And it is going to be an ongoing one. That is, every Saturday, we would be having a session from 5 to 6 p.m. And our speakers would be eminent educators from the field who would be sharing their expertise and providing us with various insights on different pressing and relevant topics for us as educators. The point to be noted here is that educators who successfully attend the program would be receiving a valid e-certificate stating that you have completed 1 hour of training under such and such topic. This is the process. Now, the process of obtaining the certificate, I will just take you through it. After the presentation by the speaker, we would be sharing a questionnaire, okay, that would be based on today's content or that particular day's content. Now you have to undergo that questionnaire, fill that questionnaire. It's more like a small assessment. So all the participants, you have to undergo that assessment. And those participants who get a score above 7 would be eligible for e-certificate. Please note that the Google form link has to be filled before you leave the meeting. And in case you want the e-certificate, there is a small fee that has to be paid, a fee of ₹100. And you would be receiving the e-certificate on WhatsApp within 7 working days. Now, coming to the session, I would like to introduce, and it's a great privilege and honor to introduce Padmaja ma'am to all of you. Padmaja Marathe ma'am, she is the principal of Seva Sadan Saksham School in Nagpur. She has been working as a principal for more than 2 decades. Mind you, not 2 years, but more than 2 decades now. She loves teaching mathematics and is more than happy to welcome people and help people on the subject, whether they be her fellow teachers or whether they be students. The wonderful thing about her is she correlates the core mathematical concepts with contextual, relatable daily life examples so as to make it easily acceptable with the students. She has devised numerous activities that are interlinked as well as they are cross-curricular across the grades, across the subjects. She has been instrumental in organizing academic enhancement program for Nagpur Sahodaya School Complex. She is also a resource person for CBSE Pune. In case viewers, you have any kind of queries, pertaining to the topic, and I highlight pertaining to the topic of the day, then please put it on the chat box and we shall address them as and when there's a platform for it and whenever time permits. Now, without much ado, Padmaja ma'am, it's all over to you, ma'am. All of us are eagerly waiting for you.
Thank you so much, Indira ma'am. Well, you spoke so much that the responsibility on the shoulders has enhanced and got elevated more. I believe it comes to your expectations and to the expectations of VidyaDaan, which is always close to my heart. Good evening to all the viewers, team of VidyaDaan. I am highly humbled and privileged to be a part of VidyaDaan. As the word itself says, it's a daan of Vidya, which has no cost and it has nothing to do with our own self, but only yes, enhancing ourselves is through VidyaDaan as well. So I always take this platform as not only giving, but I equally take from this platform because it is sharing and learning from each other. To start with it, I have chosen the topic of subject enrichment, and subject enrichment is a part of CBSE curriculum for all of us, we know. Now, subject enrichment, when it starts, the name itself speaks about it. Why subject enrichment? So we are going to talk, or what ma'am spoke in the profile, correlating it to our daily life. Maths being a subject of taboo from some years of life. My own principle or my personal principle is that I want to make a joyful environment in my school wherein children can love learning maths and they are truly maths lovers. I honestly feel maths is not a subject of worries. Maths is not a subject of any tension because it itself says every problem has a solutions. So let's start with the quote. Mathematics may not teach us how to love, add love or minus hate, but it gives us a reason to hope that every problem has a solution. So as I said, maths is a subject telling us that every problem has a solution, be it of the subject or be it of our life. So this is how we are working on the life skills of the students when we teach mathematics. Good mathematics is not about that you know all the answers, but it is more about how you behave when you don't know it. So that speaks volumes. It's not about I am knowing a question and its solution, but it's more about when I don't know a solution, how I address and advocate my subject, how I make sure that my learners are still confident and they're able to go ahead very meticulously and confidently for the subjects. Before we actually talk about why subject enrichment came into picture, let's find out, are there some challenges of this subject mathematics? And I will be happy if you could share it in the chat box. What challenges actually you face during the while teaching mathematics in your class? Be it for any class, standard 1 or standard 10th or grade 12th. Be it for any class, do you face any challenges? And I'll be happy if somebody says, no, there are no challenges while teaching mathematics. But yes, if we are, let's try to make sure that this 1 hour takes us out of these challenges and we overcome them and make the subject more effective. So when you are chatting down, let me script out some of the ones which I have jotted down through a survey with some of my fellow teachers. The way in which we teach the topics are introduced are sometimes inappropriate. Now, it's not about ineffective teaching. It's all about how we begin the topic. Just to share an example, if I'm supposed to introduce real numbers in standard 10th, so it's real numbers is a set of numbers which starts from natural, whole, rational, everything. But I should not be stopping here, but I should be keeping a door open that more than rational and irrational, you have a number called as imaginary or complex number, which you're going to learn about in the next grade. So if I close the door for a child, I'm not allowing him to think. And maths creates thinking because it's allowing your problem solving skills getting enhanced. There is a lack of understanding of concept. We experience in our classes, most of the children love to learn the solution so that they can properly copy it down. But more of that, now as math teachers, we should focus on making the concept understand. Rather, the syllabus which is getting partially deleted for us, the reason is for that, we focus more on understanding than on rote learning. There is lack of practice. No, every PTM, a parent would say, my what doesn't practice, and the teacher equally would say, yes, he doesn't practice. Let's find a way out ki how we make it interesting, and we make sure that the child himself feels that I have to practice if I have to be the masters of maths. There is more focus on formulae and calculations. Yes, we talk more about the concept in the class without actually connecting to the life around us. And this is that gap which we are supposed to bridge up today. And I'm going to try my best to make sure that it is getting bridged through this 1 hour session. The importance of learning about a particular concept is not explained to the learner. Why are we learning? If we are doing statistics, why are we doing? Where are we going to need it? Why are we learning trigonometry? Why are we learning quadratic equations? So if I'm not telling its use in its life or further opening of these concepts, the child will never take interest to learn it thoroughly. It will be again noting down the solutions and learning the solutions. So it's better if we introduce the concept and make them understand where do we need it in our life. Students are often distracted due to lack of interest or ineffective teaching. I am planning today that every teacher, every viewer who is a part of this session today becomes the most effective teacher of mathematics, and so the most sought after teacher of mathematics also, not only in the school but the city around. So this, if they're getting distracted, there is a lack of interest, is it only ineffective teaching or are there any other more reasons? We are going to talk about it through the session. The time spent on interacting with student is less. So most of the time we are focusing on the deadlines issued by our system or by our management to wind up with our syllabus. But when we make the syllabus, let's start introducing how I'm going to take this concept, or are there any options that I can connect the concepts with some other lesson and the two lessons can go together, because it is possible. It is possible. So in this way, we will be having more of interaction. Now, interaction, when the word is interaction, it is equally involving the students in our teaching classes also. There is more focus on finishing the syllabus rather than effective understanding and clarity of concepts. I leave it to you, teacher, at the end of the session. If you go with the same concept of finishing the syllabus, then the session today will not be a success. It will be only successful when you actually make it effective and with full clarity of the concept. So only challenges are okay, or can we come with the subject constraints, and we are going to see how can we overcome. So we as teachers also define certain subject constraints in the minds of the students. We tell them it is the subject. When I am taking X, when I am taking variables, it is difficult to imagine, so assume it as a variable. Maths is not a subject of imagination, it is a subject of visualization. Give them that atmosphere, environment created around them, and then you'll feel the subject has no constraints. It lacks real life connectivity. If I today fail to connect this subject to the real life, then the session will be of no use. So I'm going to make sure that how are we going to connect it to real life. It allows improvement or improvisation of the thinking skill, because this is the main core of the subject. Key, it makes problem solving, critical thinking, logical reasoning of the students stronger. So somewhere the thinking skill is taken care of by this subject. Is this subject for abstract learning? Not at all. We can take the abstract to the concrete also. Maths has a constraint of rote learning. Actually, mathematics is not a subject of rote learning. It is a subject of practice. Is language proficiency important for the subject? Do you feel so? Yes. If the child is unable to comprehend the question given, he may be having the complete knowledge, but if he cannot comprehend the language, he would lose in putting the solution in the correct form. So language proficiency it's an important part when you are talking about the subject of mathematics. It lacks adaptability to instructional strategies. With NEP coming in, with experiential learning coming in, with integration coming in of the subject, we are going to modify our instructional strategies so as it becomes more adaptive, it becomes more close to the heart of every student. Ignoring the ladder system. This is one common thing which we always face in a staff room is we sit as teachers together, but we don't talk about the subject. So when you are teachers sitting of class 2, class 4, class 6, class 10, make sure that you're talking about the subject, what is going on in the subject, and try to connect it. Because maths is a vertical subject, there has to be a ladder system. If I know what are the constraints a standard 2 child faces, automatically the teacher to next class or the teacher in the previous class will definitely modify their teaching methodology so that this part is being taken care of thereafter as well also. So the child will never have a phobia for the subject, but the child would love a subject. Talking about challenges, talking about the constraints gives us those goosebumps every time. So let's try to find out, can we overcome all of this? We can, with little efforts from our end. So let me bring to you what efforts you can do when you are doing this to overcome. Now, first and foremost, when you go to your class, know your students and accommodate their diverse learning in the classrooms. Okay, now your class is not made up of same kind of children. Your class is having variety of learners, different students who learn in different learning styles, who have different backgrounds of family, who are coming from different cultures, who have taken different class of studies beforehand, maybe. So it is first and foremost duty of every teacher when she visits the class, she first starts understanding the students. Once you start understanding the students, you will have to modify your lesson plans. You cannot be that I have decided today I am going to take a pen and paper test and it should go with it. See the time, see the responses of the students and try to modify it. Focus on conceptual understanding. So the priority should not be only attending the deadline, but the foremost part should be of concept. Maths is a subject of concept. The sub-concepts will form a bigger concept for the subject, and this is what is very important, that every concept should be given due importance and due time. Unless and until the smallest concept is not being clarified in the minds of the learners, they are not going to take mathematics ahead in a positive way. So it's very important from every grade, ensure that the concepts are taught very meticulously. Be informed and get involved with different groups of learning groups we are talking about here, and organizations. Now, as you are attending one of the sessions, there are n number of platforms these days wherein different kinds of sessions such are conducted. You may feel I have been attending training for years together. You may even feel that I'm using this textbook since years. Why I need to prepare and go to the class? But when you prepare every day, the new mindset will definitely add to your knowledge and will definitely modify the way you will put it across the learners. My dear teachers, we have seen post-COVID, the learners' attitude have changed a lot. They are not the same as we had been experiencing it before. So when things are changing around us, it is equally important for us that we also are getting updated, we are getting involved in knowing different ideas and then putting across our subject. Be flexible. Don't stick to your time, don't stick to your lesson plan, but understand the need and change and modify. Okay, now that doesn't mean that I'm going to cross over my deadlines for my syllabus. See the time, modify it, and revisit if you feel so. But you cannot be always very firm and into your frame that this is what I have planned and this is what I'm going to go about. If your plan has to be successful, it has to come from the learners equally. Create a lively, playful, and experiential learning environment in your classroom. Most of the time, we experience a math teacher rarely interacts, comes out with less of expressions, doesn't sing, dance with the students. Actually, if you create such environment in the class, it's not the subject, it's first the teacher who's been liked and then the subject. So a subject never creates its own impression. It's the impression created by the person who is delivering it. So how you create an environment in the class plays a vital role over here. Use different teaching strategies, methods, and resources to support students' interest. Same method every year. It may happen that this year you have taught the eldest child of the family. After 2 years, you're teaching the next child of the family and you're using the same method. What message are you passing on? So try to use different teaching strategies. There are so many platforms available now that wherein you can take ideas to use it. So many technologies coming in. More than AI, we human intelligence can create different strategies also to go about. Your strategies, if you define, I always feel taking a ready-made content is not as useful as is our own created content. We define our content because we know the learners. So we can reshape them as per the need of the learner. So when you know your learners, define your content with different strategies. It's not always that technology will be only the way to do it. There are many methods also to put it across also. Monitor students' progress and provide immediate feedback to them. Now, when we are giving a feedback, we generally tell where he is wrong or she is wrong. Make it with feedback, giving a feed forward also. So if you are unable to do it, what help and support I can give or what is the modification you need is equally important. So as you are monitoring a child and you are guiding the child, equally provide them the platforms also and solutions also how they can go further. So just don't give the feedback and stop. As you have authority to give feedback, equally take feedback from your students also. Ask them where they need more of discussions happening in the class, where do they really want a change in the methodology, talk to them. And it should be very positively taken when they are giving a feedback. Of course, they will only give a feedback when you create an environment, such environment in the class. Let's see a second's ad about Bonvita and
what if I
learn
told you
from
this
it.
wasn't a toilet cleaner? It's actually Bonvita. This egg and soap carton, also Bonvita. But why are all these Bonvita packs not in their original form? You see, these packs were forced to be what they were not meant to be. According to a recent study, 82% of Indian parents are actively involved in deciding their child's career. Children are often forced to pursue a career their parents have chosen for them, irrespective of their own passions and interests. Bonvita decided to address this issue through a one-of-a-kind campaign called Forced Bags, the brand of their iconic jar, and transformed it into something it was not destined to be.
Excuse me, Bhaiya. You Bonvita का toilet cleaner?
The Forced Bags are available in select outlets across metro cities in India and on their website www.thebonvitastore.in. Each of the packs come with a message. These Bonvita packs were forced to be something they are not meant to be, like millions of kids who are forced against their natural potential. As a part of the campaign, Bonvita also created a hashtag called Faith Not Force, which encourages parents to take a pledge.
So we are talking about faith, not force. This advertisement is trying to at least give us a message that we can modify the things and not remain in the same. We all have seen a transition from a phone which was just a box has become a smart Android phone these days. So when we are actually experiencing this transition, let us modify, let us change our thought process and bring out a change. I'm just trying to show you a picture. The moment we represent some diagram on the blackboard, students start taking a conclusion. Equally must be your thinking also. But if I try to explain you, the shaded picture here is picture of two hexagon. It's not about a cube in a cube. It is a picture of hexagon. Now, again, here comes the change of mindset. Same representation of irrational number. There would be people who would agree with the first representation, the second also equally they would feel. What I'm trying to bring out here is it's the picture interpretations which needs equal importance to be given when we are delivering the lesson. This happens because we are not creating a imaginationary or a visualizational skills in the students which starts from a very lower class. They are unable to read the picture and so they are unable to put across the formula and to get the correct solution. So picture imagination, see maths is a subject of experience, picture, language and symbol. Every bit of it matters a lot. So ensure that picture reading is continuously taught in the class when you are teaching the subject. This is one way how you can go from abstract to concrete. As I said, we have to make our mathematics a joyful learning. What will be the benefits if it is a joyful learning? The students and the teacher's perspective will change. Students will be more motivated for the subject. They will be always engaged because you are changing methodologies, you are modifying the things you are going to deliver further. And of course, when we are modifying, we are going to be authentic in our delivery. And you will have a complete autonomy in your class because, as I said, first the teacher, then the subject is liked or disliked by the student. So your ways of putting it across will change the complete methodology. And this can happen through subject enrichment activity. So when I say subject enrichment activity, I read it as the activities that are enriching the subject's core concept. And these are going to be engaging and age appropriate. You cannot be defining the same activity for all the age group, the same activity for different concepts. No, it should be concept based and equally age appropriate. For example, if I am taking for standard 1 an engaging activity and I use the staircase to teach them ascending and descending, it is appropriate for a class of 1 and grade of 2. But if I do the same activity with grade 10, that would make some indifference in the mind of the children. So it should be equally age appropriate. A subject enrichment activity is always based on the concept. It is not based on the exercises or the questions related to the concept. It is based on the concept what we are teaching. The activities which you design should connect to real life. We are going to see examples here today, how they are going to get connected to real life. The application of knowledge should be in relevant ways. It should not give ambiguity in the minds of the learners. It should not be controversial in the minds of the learner. It should be quite known and relevant to them. You should help through these activities learners to explore multiple ways of solving the problems, not only one way, but multiple ways. So let us define what is subject enrichment. Subject-specific activities aimed at enrichment of understanding and skill development. So when I say enrichment of understanding, it is all about the concept. Concept-related skills are also being developed through these subject enrichment activity. So what not is subject enrichment activity? Doing the same thing again and again is not at all a subject enrichment activity. What I did this year is I'm doing the next year. The learners have changed. Still, it is not an enrichment happening. Giving the same kind of problems by changing the words, names, or the values is not again an enrichment activity. But enrichment is all about exploring more ideas, knowing why, what, when about the subject is important. Taking things apart and creating something new. So from the subject, bringing out the same concept in different ways, in new ways, is all about subject enrichment activity. Now, this is not at all theory all about. So, we are supposed to make sure that we are giving them something called as hands-on activities because we plan mathematics to go from abstract to concrete. So how are we going to do it? Are we going to use some object, some equipments? The norm of CBSE says to have a maths lab in every school. One maths lab in every school is one of the important things. You can create lab equipments in your own classroom from the school bags of the children, from the things and objects around you. So let us use those things and objects and create the subject enrichment activity for our classes. I've taken here an example of geoboard activities. Geoboard is a simple plank of a plywood wherein nails are stuck at equal distances. This geoboard will help you to define shapes. This geoboard will help you to introduce the concept of congruency, similarity. Here I have shown you the example of basic proportionality theorem, which is a part of standard 10th. Now, instead of telling the statement of the theorem, if I tell a child that connect rubber bands to form a triangle, connect rubber bands to the nails to form the parallel lines, and then in giving them the statement of the theorem, it will be more relatable, it will be more acceptable. So using such equipments of Maths Lab will make your subject more effective and everlasting. As I said, from abstract to concrete. So this is one method which is called as paper cutting and pasting method. Now, paper cutting and pasting method is something wherein the students or the learners are with all their senses. They can touch, they can see, they can feel, they're using colors. So it's more acceptable to them. So using paper cutting pasting method, we can prove so many concepts of the mathematics. Like I have shown here examples of the theorems of circles. The first picture shows all about. The first picture shows about the measure of angle at the center is double as the measure of the angle at any point on the circle. So when you trace the angle from angle P and the two angles are pasted at the center, the child is able to remember it forever. Or alternate segment theorem for minor and major, cyclic quadrilateral, concepts of cyclic quadrilateral. So paper, when I am telling them to cut a paper and paste it, they are doing it by themselves with the objective of the theorem. A simple concept of perpendicular bisector can be just used by paper folding activity in the classroom, and you tell them what is a perpendicular bisector. Ask them to fold the paper twice, once vertically, once horizontally. It can be done. Three-dimensional objects can be created using these papers. So when I am using paper, which is very close to their heart, they enjoy and they remember it forever. This is a sample for alternate segment theorem. Now, alternate segment theorems in many of the textbook or like in CBSE board, it's not given in the textbook, but it is a part of maths manual. And questions related to these are asked. So there's always a controversy amongst the teachers. Are we supposed to teach? If we are supposed to teach, are we supposed to give the proof? So when it comes, maths manual is here to help you out. When you take it in a maths manual activity book, the child will remember the statement also and its application also. So certain concepts can be taught through maths manual also. Let's say, for example, if it is coordinate geometry, using a graph paper, telling them to find distances, using distance formula, section formula, is again taking them from the textbook to the paper, connecting it to the real life also. So we are going to talk about even the disciplinary projects over here. Now, this is the sample wherein you are proving algebraic expressions for polynomials. This is paper cutting pasting method, and the other way is by using algebra tiles. In case you don't have algebra tiles in your school, you can use it on the graph paper also, or you can use in the way as was shown in the previous slide. Making rectangles, cutting them, and then finding their areas. In both the ways, when you prove, it is always remembered to them. Whenever you are teaching subjects like the topics of surface area, volume, just do not speak, but show them this object. Ask them to derive the formula by showing them this object. When you are deriving the formula, let's say if I've taken a cylinder in my hand and I'm deriving the formula of the cylinder, why it is pi r square h, or how the total surface area has twice pi r square, the child will remember. There will be no confusion whether the formula of cylinder or cone is which one. It will be always this is a common confusion which the learner has there in my mind. Graph board. When we did B.Ed, we always used to carry a roll board. In the same way, graph boards are available. With the help of graph board, not only teaching coordinate geometry, but graph paper activities can be conducted in the classroom. This is a sample of arithmetic progression wherein we are talking about the total sum formula. So when they are coloring, when they are using paper strips and they're understanding arithmetic progression, it is for ever a registration in their mind with the concept. Now let's see the approach of mathematics with interdisciplinary. Can maths be connected to the core subjects like languages, science, social science, or even arts, dance, sports? Every subject is interlinked with each other, and our new curriculum is already interlinked. Only we have to change an approach to conduct such activity. So we are going to talk about interdisciplinary approach over here, how maths can be connected to other subjects. So the first is when I take students to a nature's walk, I make them observe the things around the nature. The figures are showing you leaves of a tulsi plant, leaves of a rose plant, leaves of bael. Now these leaves have a particular way of blossoming. They will always, like a tulsi leaf will always blossom in a form of a pear or a quadra. Rose leaves will have 5 to 1 lamina. Bael leaves will be in a form of 3 leaves always. So with these examples from the nature, we can teach them tables of multiplication. We can use this for repetitive additions. We can ask them to cut, paste, and form it. So you are taking a nature walk also, you are teaching the concept also, and most importantly, the subject of maths, which is taken only from textbook to blackboard is taken now out of the classroom also. Flower of daisy, flower of sunflower, speak about the concept of Fibonacci numbers, repetitive numbers. So just showing them and talking them would give them an enriching experience for the concept. Sports integrated activities. Now, whenever we are, this is the time when all the teachers should sit together. A math teacher should sit with the sports teacher and collaborate the concept with the sports teacher. There is something called as total physical response for a concept understanding. What is total physical response? Like if we have played a game of fire in the mountain in your childhood, it was like fire in the mountain, run, and form groups of 3, form groups of 5. Now, can we change instead of fire in the mountain, run, form groups of odd numbers, even numbers, multiple of 3, multiple of 5. So here we are teaching as well as they are playing. So it's in a playful way they learn the concept. This can be enhanced to higher classes also with the subjects coming up. Like you can have a quiz for the values of trigonometric, like be quick and tell the value of sine 30. So such games can be designed and it can be played in our classroom. It's being done so I can speak because this is what I have been doing in my class and there was a very good response from the students to do this. Some of the indoor games, the playing cards and the dice are not only for having playing cards activity, but you can use the playing cards for addition. You can use the playing cards for colors. You can use the playing cards for multiplication, differentiation. Then you can use the dice in different forms. It's not only one dice, but you can use pair of dice and make sure that with this games, additions, objects are taught to the children. Very simple games. The tickets of Tambola I have tried to show you here. Now this ticket of Tambola can be redesigned. We can make the numbers on the Tambola as squares, cubes, and we can announce in the class square of 5, the tickets having square of 5 cut, and the rules of Tambola can be defined in our class and the game. So while playing, they are learning square roots. While playing, they are learning what are composite numbers, factors, and multiples. Now, it is a one-time investment, dear teachers. If you just do it once, how to create this Tambola ticket for yourself, for the concept which you are teaching. For every year, you can redesign the format, but you will know it in a more better and a easier way to redefine it the next year. Every classroom has a calendar. Use the calendar and you can define them. Add only the corners, add it in the diagonal form, add it in the vertical form, see the total, compare the total, and they are learning something new out of it. Like I have highlighted here a square of pink, and when you add the diagonals, the addition is always equal. So some properties, some kind of magic is created to create a love for the subject and to create an interest for the subject. It's not only concept always, but it's always equally important to create interest for the subject also. Every school has a playground, some defined playground. Take them to the playground for area, perimeter, angle of elevation, angle of depressions, even coordinate geometry when you are making them stand vertically and horizontally, finding the position of their own friends, Cartesian plane, introduction of graph can be done on an assembly ground. Keeping them in the classroom, sticking to the same conventional methods will not make you an effective teacher for everlasting impression. So adding such pedagogics to your teaching classes will change the mindset, will add value to your lesson, and it will be effective always. So these are the sample pictures which I have shown about a basketball court and a football ground. But if you have a coco ground, if you have square pavers in your rooms, it can be in a zigzag way. You can create a snake and ladder from it. You can create a hopscotch from it. And this, with that, you can redefine, like if you're making a snake and ladder, like one of my teacher did with snake and ladder. When you are climbing when you are with a good habit, you are climbing. When you are using a bad habit, you are coming down the snake. So this was one way wherein the child was taught value education. So this is just an example. We can define it with all such base, new ways of thinking. Every school has tangrams. Diagrams are the best way to give them ideas of, permutation, combinations, and making different shapes from it. Equally with tangram, you can also teach area and perimeter, also different shapes. Like we know tangram has 7 objects in it. It has equilateral triangle, it has a parallelogram, rectangle. So properties of these shapes also can be taught.
It's
running short of the time, so not showing the video. Yes, now integration of the subject with arts. So we have seen maths getting integrated with nature, maths getting integrated with sports, and now maths getting integrated with arts. Very closely, if we see a person who knows the patterns is very good at singing also. So this is mostly a given as a statement. So maths can be very easily connected to art. Now, art integration doesn't mean always drawing shapes and coloring them. But when you are teaching them dance and when they make movements of their hands, with their movements of their hands, you can teach them types of angles. So dance, visual art, performing arts, both of them can be included. Or when your child is learning instruments like the keyboard or tabla, all of them need a pattern. If it is in a pattern, only then it sounds good. So this is how subject of mathematics is getting connected to the instruments also. What does art integrated activities allow us? They make us a cross-curricular approach in teaching. They allow us to visualize the subject. And not only critical thinking of the learner is improved, but yes, creativity of the child is getting also improved. Sharing with you some of the examples here. This is the month of December. We all are coloring and decorating our schools for Christmas. Snowflake is one which we all love to decorate our display board. Snowflake is also basically based on the concept of mathematics called as fractals. If fractal becomes on a higher note, it can be a simple activity of paper folding and cutting it by your choice of shape. Open it and see what kind of designs are created by each one of you. Observation skills are developed, imagination is developed, their creativity is getting enhanced, and of course, participation goes on a better scales because they are doing it by themselves. So the ownership comes to them, and when it belongs to them, they love it more. We all know in 9th standard, we introduced the concept of irrational number to be traced on a number line. So this is a sample of Pythagorean snail being formed with the help of this spiral method to locate an irrational number on the number line. Drawing rangoli on the floor is nothing but all about patterns, dots, lines. Encourage them to draw. Coloring is also about spatial intelligence and defining the boundaries or focusing on the lines and the segments. So art is very closely related to the subject. A picture of Wali painting speaks for shapes, speaks for regular shapes, congruent shapes, similar shapes. So when you have such chapters in it too, and you have math portfolio to make, encourage children to put one at least Wali painting in their portfolio. The definition of Wali painting can be connected to the concept of maths and will be a lovely gift to your children when they're learning maths. The picture of mandala art is all about circle, sector, segment, chords, tangents. So while teaching this concept, you can ask them to even do mandala art. And while doing mandala art, when they do it by themselves, they start connecting the subject to the things around them also, because we are somehow creating in their mind a broader mindset that yes, maths is not restricted to only textbook, but it can be taken out of the classroom also. Now, teaching mathematics with technology. The current technology has given us variety of tools to do it. Mostly used tools is GeoGebra. When you are doing it with GeoGebra, the concept of Cartesian plane, grid lines, equal angles, equal figures, similar figures. GeoGebra is a tool wherein not only geometry, but algebra is simultaneously taken care of. When you use GeoGebra for geometry and when you are trying to teach them that angles on the same side of the segment are equal, with the help of cursor, you can keep changing the angles and the same angles measure is notified in the algebra tool. So children can see by themselves and do by themselves ki it is so happening at any point on the circle. And then they feel, otherwise, generally, if you see, they would always love to draw the same figure as you draw when you are telling them ki the angles of the same segment on the same side at any point on the circle are equal. They will draw the same kind of figure. But with this, you are trying to bring into their mindset a new thought ki no, the point can be anywhere on the circle, but still the angle would remain the same. I always encourage and advocate one thing: do not use the same notifications, same notations for the labeling of the figures. Generally, we have a habit of writing triangle ABC or triangle PQR. Keep changing the notes so that the vision in the minds of the children is enhanced. Whenever we are teaching them the angle, we have a common notification of drawing the angle of right angle this way only. Try to make it upside down. Try to make it open from the left side, from the right side, in different direction. The thinking skill which you are enhancing over here is the direction may change, but the measure of the angle will remain the same. The length of the arms may change, but the measure of the angle will remain the same. When you put this in their mind, it will be easier for you to teach the concept of similarity of figures, because it talks about shape and size. So shape remains the same, sizes matter because of a proportion. So that becomes really easier for you when you are teaching it. So technology gives you this base that you can keep changing the direction, but value would remain the same. I'm showing here one example. Take a square, and now this can be done with the help of a computer teacher also of your school, or it can be collaborated with the computer teacher in her lessons, or you can take the lessons of computer teacher in your class. And when the child is using the draw from the task bar, now you can, for each child, you can define, break the figure into equal parts of 2, equal parts of 3, shade them as 1/4, shade them as 1/2. N number of concepts can be taught over here: equal fractions, equivalent fractions, like fractions, unit fractions, just with the help of one instrument or one app on your computers, that is the draw app from your taskbar. Then there are different shapes on the taskbar also: hexagonal shape, triangle shape. Just if they choose and draw them and make them in different forms, it becomes easier for the child to know. When you are taking them with technology and mathematics, you can also take them for number lines. The number lines can be used for addition, subtraction. Let them jump on the number line with the help of cursor, and they would always remember this addition and subtraction. That reminds me also to tell you that when you take them to the playground also, you can draw the number line and you can actually make the child do jumping over the number line for addition and subtraction. So the concept of integers, positive integers and negative integers, if you move towards the right, it's positive. If you move towards the left, it is negative. Even that becomes clear. This is always a confusion, not only in grade 6 or 7, but it is up to higher classes also. So this can be withdrawn. Another thing is making them sit in a musical chair form, but the musical chair having each of them as number. So when you are playing the music and you are making them stop the music, you can just tell the multiples of 3 are out, or the multiples of 5 are out, or the even numbers are out, the odd numbers are out. So defining games and condition. Games I'm suggesting, but you can condition as per the concept you are going to teach. Experiential learning is one of the concepts which is taking its note. Now, when experiential learning is through these all activities, you are giving them a hands-on experience. And when they get an hands-on experience, I am sure they are going to register the concept forever, and it will be easier for them to reconnect it to the next class, because your hands-on is going to keep the door open for the next level of mathematics they are going to learn. You're not going to stop it over here only. As I spoke about GeoGebra is a software which is freely available. You can download it. It helps you to teach properties of polygons, coordinate geometry, Cartesian planes, polygons. Then there are other softwares also like Kahoot, Quizlet, GameKit. These softwares are easily and very user-friendly. They are easily available. One effort which we are supposed to take is we have to go out of our frame and take one step more, go a mile bit, and incorporate in your teaching to make your teaching process and learning process more effective and more interesting and joyful for the children. So I leave the last 10 minutes for your questions to come down. If there are any questions, and I just stop sharing my screen. Thank you all for this patient listening. And now I'm open for the questions, if any. May I request the moderator of VidyaDaan to share the questions?
You're not audible, madam. Can you please unmute your mic?
Yes. Am I audible now?
Yes.
So the concept of even trigonometry can be taught with the help of GeoGebra. When you are taking a right angle triangle and you are moving the angles from 0 and finding the values of the ratio. It will help you to teach the concept of specific angle values also for a right angle triangle. Then concepts of cyclic quadrilateral, properties of triangles, properties of circles, properties of various polygons, sectors. They all are taught. They can be all taught over here. The tool of algebra helps you to find. So if I'm taking distance between 2 points also, if I want to find the distance between the 2 points, I can find out with the help of this algebra tool, and it highlights the changes happening around. So if I have the line, I can move it and the values would change. It's like that. So when the values are changed and the children can see by themselves, they will be confident about, yes, whatever we have in that textbook, which is a theory, can actually be done also. So this was just a small demo of what is the software GeoGebra all about. Thank you to all. We can now open for questions. Ma'am, if there are any questions, to go ahead.
I think no, ma'am.
All right. So that's all from my side. We can then have the closure of the session, ma'am.
Definitely, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the wonderful session, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.